the questions that you've attached to them. So we have one from Unleashed for $10. Thanks for all you guys do. Next round's on me.
Oh.
That's good. That's a pretty good round.
Thanks, Unleashed.
Like $5 each.
That
Get
is
a pretty
nice.
good, get a pretty good beer for that amount of money. Thank you very much, sir. MB67, $13.37. As always, Kyle and Paul, I like both of your CES coverage. Cheers. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you as well.
We went definitely a different route, but I'm glad a lot of people had fun with it, and view count was good. People watched it. It's what we wanted. We want people to see the videos that we make. So, it was very helpful.
Speaking of him,
MB, I have his system. I should be taking it from you tonight.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So that I can ship it out to the winner.
Groovy.
Which I've already contacted.
All right.
So if you're watching this winner, for your name.
MB67 made that tiny little Dan case build that's back there.
Yes.
And we gave it away in a charity live stream. And weeks following were a bit chaotic.
Yeah.
I know I barely got
Christmas,
mine. I
New
barely
Year's.
got mine shipped out just before I left for CES.
Right.
I did get an email, and the winner received it, and he said everything's good.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. MB67's
This
is
next
going
one will
up
be
too.
out soon. Very soon.
Beautiful.
Probably in the next
Thanks
week
again
or so.
for that. Was a great help in the
Oh, yeah.
charity live stream and everything.
Heck yeah, man. Thank you. Pup Shepherd, $5. Hugs, wags tail, is
Pup.
happy. Hope you are well. I
too,
hope you
Pup.
are well too, my friend. I hope you and all your puppy friends are doing well and barking together in harmonious unity.
All of your offspring, which
And
I
your Windows updating.
assume are like human puppy hybrids, right? Is it?
It just did. And then it just refreshed to
I
desktop.
told it earlier to not do it, and it still did it.
Windows
Whatever.
10. It's like an untrained puppy.
That's fine.
Speaking of puppies. Thank you very much, Pup. It's Kunai, $5. Help, my PC won't boot. The Easy DUG LED is on DRAM and flashes on CPU for like half a second. My disk is... It's Kunai.
I feel like that cut off a little bit.
A little bit. Your PC won't boot, and the debug LED is on DRAM,
So
and it
the
flashes
Easy
on the
Debug
CPU.
LED.
Take out all the sticks, except one.
Yeah.
Try booting with one stick at a time. If one stick works and it boots fine, try another stick until you see a failed stick. If they all work fine, then try 2 sticks at a time. Maybe it's a DIMM slot, not necessarily a DIMM itself. And then just go through that whole process, and if something checks out, or if everything checks out there.
If the debug LED is flashing on the CPU for a second and then moving on, that probably means it's like checking the CPU. CPU is good.
Fine.
It sounds like your memory is the issue, and like Kyle said, you're trying to find, do I have a bad stick?
Yeah.
Do I have a bad slot in the motherboard?
Right.
Chances are, if you've got 2 or 4 sticks, if you've got 4 sticks, chances are you've got at least 1 or 2 or 3 that are good. And if you got 2 sticks, probably 1 of the 2 is good.
Yeah.
So you're gonna need to swap and boot up and everything. Try different slots. Check your motherboard manual to see which it recommends for your first DIMM slot. Often there are 2 options for that. Try either one.
Try different memory sticks too if you have them.
That too. Bit of troubleshooting there, it's gonna, but hopefully you'll be able to work that out.
Good luck.
Ascended with the £5 donation.
Pound it.
Keep up the good work, guys. We shall. We absolutely shall.
You know us.
2019's off to a great start.
It is.
Next up,
Bazinga
this
X.
is on my half. Bazinga X.
$20. Paul, great job at CES. I really enjoyed your videos.
Thank you, Bazinga. Thank you very much.
He enjoyed your videos, $20 worth, which is pretty good.
I felt very
Pretty solid.
I felt very good about CES this year. I felt good about my videos. I felt good about the amount of the sort of balance between work and a little bit of recreational time there as well.
Same.
So I'm very glad that you liked it.
Awesome.
I had a good time there, and
If only we can just repeat that for all future CESs.
I know.
It'd be golden.
Staying at Palazzo was helpful.
So clutch.
Although I paid the bill when I left, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's why.
You get what you pay for.
That's why it's so nice.
$1,000 a night on the peak hours. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Rough. Carl Hall, 5 Canadians. Paul was less late than Kyle, perhaps on this stream.
Slightly.
Yeah.
I gauged my start times slightly better. It's always a question of when we're going to end the first half. But
True.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you very much.
We'll try to be more.
I'll try to be more punctual next time.
Punctual.
Stephen Hill, $10 baby oil fund.
Oh, thanks, Stephen.
We have like a $300 baby oil fund at this point.
It's getting big.
We're gonna have a full-blown tub. Pollinators jump in, splash around. We'll have like little floaties on. It's gonna be worth it. Thank you, Stephen. What you're contributing towards is truly magical. We will not let you down. Michael Kane.
Renewing these promises.
Michael Kane, $10. Okay, second time asking my question. Do you guys have any idea when the Asus Rampage Extreme 6 Omega will be released? And what's your thought on that board?
Rampage Extreme 6 Omega is the follow-up to
the Rampage?
Rampage Extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh, was it shown at...
Well, this is the Rampage 6 Extreme Omega X299.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah. So, I don't really have any thoughts on it. I don't know too much about it other than it's
I know
a
the Rampage Extreme 6 R6E, the current R6E I've used for quite a few things, and it's really solid. I mean,
it's an Nth Elite build that I have at home.
Like with the Extreme Asus ROG boards, I'm always torn. Because on the one hand, I'm like,
it's so much.
It's a badass motherboard. They've integrated a ton of stuff into it. That's always the case. On the other hand, I'm like, that's a $400 board, a $500 board often.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff that's on there, most home users aren't going to use.
Right.
If you're not going to be doing extreme overclocking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it makes it more of a
niche product.
It makes it more of a value proposition of there are boards that can get the job done on X299 that cost $100, $200, sometimes even $250 less than that.
Right. But 0.1% of users are actually going to get the most out of this board.
Yeah. So that's my stance on that. And so if you got the money, yes, it's a badass board. It's probably going to be a badass board. I can't speak too much more on this one because it's new and it's not launched yet.
Boards like this are almost so niche that if you have to ask, would this be a good board for me? It's probably not. The people who are going to actually utilize these types of boards to their fullest potential already know exactly what features they're going to use.
Maybe Michael's already like 90% of the way to being like, I'm going to buy that board because it's what I want.
That's true too.
And what Michael's looking for is us to be like, Michael, it's okay.
It's okay.
You can buy that board. You've worked hard, Michael.
If money's falling out of your butt.
You've taken care of your family, your business, everything's handled. You've got a bit of extra spending money. Yes, there's other things you could spend it on, but you know what?
You deserve this.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
Michael, it's okay.
You deserve this.
It's okay to buy the Rampage Extreme 6 Omega, even though it's going to be $550 or whatever.
Next week we see the paper. Michael filed for bankruptcy.
Oh, yeah.
Per two YouTubers' recommendations.
But please make sure you have food and rent and everything covered first.
Get food on the table first. MB671337. Cheers, Paul. Cheers.
Thanks, Mike.
Cheers to you, Mike. Thank you again.
Cheers again.
Carmos 1970, $5. Do you need to have VSync enabled along with G-Sync enabled for it to work on FreeSync? I have a VOTech Quad HD 144 Hz 32-inch FreeSync monitor and a 1070 Ti.
Yes.
VSync must be enabled? No.
Well,
G-Sync enabled for it to work on FreeSync.
Sometimes there are separate settings. In my experience, if you have G-Sync turned on, then you want VSync turned on in the game if the game has that as a setting, because you do want to synchronize the refresh rate of the game with the refresh rate of the monitor.
Yeah.
And
frame rate of the game to the refresh rate of the monitor. Yes. And this will also probably depend on how well validated your FreeSync panel is, right? Depending on what kind of settings you'll have, because we were saying like earlier, those 12 monitors that were just fully validated are pretty much plug and play, where it'll just work. It just works. But you might have to adjust certain settings if you have a FreeSync monitor that isn't fully validated by NVIDIA to work seamlessly.
VSync, in my experience, and this might vary depending on some games that don't implement it properly, but VSync should lock the refresh rate of the game to the refresh rate of the monitor you're playing with. If the refresh rate of the monitor you're playing with is variable, then it should lock it to a variable frame rate.
One would hope.
Although I will admit that I have not turned it on in enough games to say like this is how it always works or doesn't work. Yeah.
Next up, we have Vignesh Balasubramaniam for $5. Did I just pronounce that? Balasubramaniam.
Balasubramaniam. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Vignesh Balasubramaniam for $5. Did you guys see that there was extra space for a second Ryzen die on the 3rd gen Ryzen package? If so, thoughts on that? 2x8 is 16 core possible?
Yes.
I think that's very, very valid in your speculation that 16 cores is a true reality on Ryzen 3.
In fact, although obviously this was going to happen anyway, I think I was one of the first people to tweet a picture of when Lisa held up that Ryzen die and she was showing people.
The
and
missing
I was like,
space?
That's really weird and out of, like it's not symmetrical.
Right.
They have the IO die, that's the bigger one, and then they have the smaller Ryzen die. It's up in the corner. Why would they do that unless they're leaving space for a second one? Which I put in my thumbnail, and I also tweeted about.
Yeah.
A bunch of people have stolen that. I feel like I should copyright claim their videos or something like that.
Get those royalties, Paul.
Point being, yes, it seems like from any reasonable assessment of just looking at the layout of the dies on the substrate for the Ryzen 3 sample that was shown, the reasonable assumption is that there's space for a second die. There's been some scuttlebutt about AMD having a higher core count than the 8 cores that was that Ryzen had.
Of course.
With Ryzen 1st and 2nd gen.
They got to push it further because now Intel's caught up.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because that would again allow them to push the core count limit beyond what Intel has on their mainstream platform with their 8-core 9900K. And it seems like a very reasonable progression of their chiplet design, which I really think is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, tiny little chiplets and put them all, you know, you can have a single one or you can have a couple of them or you can have 4 of them on the high-end desktop.
Whole party.
And enhance that Infinity Fabric through the I/O controller.
Yeah.
To make that more efficient and to reduce latency between them. That makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident that they're going to come out with a 16-core Ryzen 3rd gen option on AM4, which is badass.
Further blurring the line between mainstream and high-end desktop.
Yes, indeed.
But we have two last donations here. Ryan Moria for $10. Hey, Kyle and Paul. Thanks to your vids, I built my first gaming PC for my son. Ryzen 5 1600 overclocked to 4 GHz on the MSI B350 Tomahawk, EVGA GeForce GTX 1070 Superclock Quad Lumi cooler, and Trident Z DDR4 3200. Thanks. That sounds like a pretty badass system.
That's solid.
You have a very lucky son.
I like the high-speed memory too. It's a great combination for that.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Ryan. Go forth and game on that system.
May your son be prosperous.
Cal, I think we skipped Steve Blomquist.
Oh, you're right.
Did a $5 donation.
Yes.
He says, thanks to both of you for giving me the confidence to build a fully liquid-cooled PC for the first time. Tons of fun and I don't regret it. Steve.
Nice.
Thumbs up to you as well. Thank you for the donation, and I'm really glad to hear that you had a great experience.
If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of YouTube. You can take something that you've never accomplished before, watch someone else do it,
Hey, that idiot
and get
did
a
it.
much better idea of how to do it yourself. I mean, I remodeled my bathroom over the past several weeks, based largely on that. Like,
That's
it's like, all right, now I need to figure out how to do molding. Like, all right, let me watch some YouTube videos.
And now that's a skill and tool that you now have in your arsenal.
Yeah.
You can apply it to future jobs.
I'm not an expert at it, but I know the basics. And
Are you for hire? We could use a contractor for certain things.
you know, my rates are pretty exorbitant. But,
can I afford you? Is the question.
perhaps.
We'll talk over dinner.
We'll think about it.
All right, we have Logan C, $5. Everything just works. Yes, it does.
Indeed.
Including your $5 donation, because it goes straight to us, and thank you very much, Logan. C, Michael Kane, our final donation for the night, $20. I haven't eaten in 3 months. Here's my new system spec, 9980XE, 128 gigs of RAM, 2 RTX Titans, 3000 dual custom loop, and a Corsair Obsidian 1000D. Second system in the same case. I said, here come 9900K, 64 gig RAM, Titan XP single loop. I just read it exactly how it was laid out in the comment. That's how it was written. That sounds like a pretty impressive system, dual system.
So Michael, that
rig.
I have a practical question for you after
Why?
listing this very impractical system build that you're talking about. Not impractical on the face of it, because you're talking about just the highest end consumer hardware that you can currently buy.
Right.
Here's my question. Why do you're talking about a crazy system with that 9980XE
Yeah.
and 2 RTX Titan. Why
That's
do you
nuts.
need a 9900K 64 gig system in the bottom as well as that? If you're going for an all-out gaming system, then
Maybe
I guess
he's
that
doing
kind of
work
makes
and
sense.
play. Maybe he wants a system that's
But
for
yeah,
work and play.
I mean, if you're just trying to fully kit it out, then okay. I'm just saying.
There's a
maybe
way. There's
take a
reason there.
practical stance with this, because like that's why I did a FreeNAS build for the secondary build in the bottom of my 1000D, because I was like, you know
Makes
what,
sense.
another gaming system. It's like I'm not gonna game on 2 systems at the same time.
Sure.
My wife already has a gaming PC, so I mean, then again, there's something to be said for just like, look, I went all out and I threw everything. I threw the kitchen sink at this build
Yeah.
and did everything possible. So we'll see about that. Kyle, you're getting ahead of yourself.
I am just a
There's
little
an
bit.
entire segment that we haven't gone.
No, you're totally right.
over yet.
I'm just
Although,
jumping the gun here.
I'm hungry too, though.
Me too. Yeah. All right. So.
But let's go through this
But
quickly.
we cannot skip through Pimp My PC.
We can't skip Pimp My PC.
It
It's
is
the After Party Pimp My PC edition.
it's going to be awesome. 5 of
Yeah.
you guys have sent in pictures of your rigs, and we're going to tell you exactly how you can perhaps amp them up to be more pimpified.
Yes.
It's a word. So first off, we have Ken McDonald, all right, with his 9900K system, overclocked to 5.1 gigahertz at 1.31. That's a very, very nice chip that you have there.
Yeah.
5.1 at 1.31. That's, oh my god.
He's got the Maximus
won the lottery there.
11 code, which is a good overclocking motherboard.
Indeed, hybrid GTX 1080 Ti at 2050 megahertz. 2 of them in SLI. Vengeance RGB Pro 32 gig kit at 3200 speed. And we have a Corsair 500D case, Asus ROG PG279Q monitor, and the list goes on. So this is clearly a super, super duper high-end system. This is probably one of the fastest
damn.
gaming rigs that you can buy right now or build. And it looks great overall, very color neutral, very black, and you know, just sort of nothing's clashing in terms of color. There is some RGB in those fans and on the RAM.
I like that in this picture he's using the i9 hexagon box to
Yes.
provide some elevation to his Wi-Fi antenna.
It's very useful.
It's very practical usage of that.
Indeed. And
Wow.
I can't really say much negatively about this system. If you want to really pimpify it, I would suggest going with some uniform cables. It looks like you've got some black cables and some black and white cables. I would like to see that a bit more thematic. I mean, you have such a high-end system here that I really have to, you know, I have to be nitpicky at this point because there isn't a whole lot wrong here. You could probably get a nicer vanity SLI bridge than that hardback one that you have.
Okay.
Go for it, Paul.
Okay.
I'm gonna pee.
You're gonna pee?
Yeah, I'm gonna turn my mic off so no
Okay.
one can hear me pee.
Well, I'm not gonna argue with you here. I was about to say I have nothing to say about the aesthetics of this build.
Damn right.
But then you brought up the SLI bridge, and I guess, all right, we got one nitpick, and it would be that SLI bridge. This system is just dying for like a premium SLI bridge with something on there. You've got RGB lighting going through the whole thing. But beyond that, apart from that SLI bridge, I think the system looks absolutely awesome. And I say that with full knowledge of the fact that you've got 2 120 millimeter radiators with fans that you have to sort of accommodate here with this tubing. I actually like how the tubing looks. I like that, you know, you've got some EVGA Velcro straps on there to tie them together. I even like sort of the crisscrossy thing you've got going on with the power delivery for your hybrid GPUs. I think this whole thing looks just beastly and like powerful and strong. So like Kyle said, I only have a single aesthetic quibble, and that would be to replace that SLI bridge, sir. It deserves a high-end, high-bandwidth SLI bridge to match everything else in the system, and very well done, Ken McDonald. That's a beautiful, beautiful build you put together. Next up is the Bearded Gentleman. He says he built this late last year. Thanks to you guys, Jay, and others. It's a Ryzen 2400G, so we have an APU build. Sorry. Gigabyte AB350 Gaming 3 motherboard, an XFX RX 588 gig graphics card, a 16 gigs of Corsair RGB 3000 speed memory, Fantex P300 case, Crucial 250 gig SSD, Thermaltake Red SP fans, and a WD Blue 1 terabyte hard drive. All right. We got Sonic and Tails down there in the bottom. The 88, is that NASCAR? No, that's not Ivan Stewart. That's what's his dude. Who's the other dude? Number 88. I'm sure chat will tell me in just a second. Ooh, look at the purple with the purple lights on. I'm liking the lighting. Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Is that who that is? Dale Earnhardt Jr. Number 88. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, chat, for the for catching me up to that. All right, I like the multiple pictures. We can see it with the flat lighting, so you can see the red and black color scheme. So Kyle, this is an APU build. It's got a 2400G,
Okay.
RX 580, 16 gigs of memory, a Fantex P300 case.
Why is the rear fan intake?
He's got Sonic and Tails down there at the bottom, and there's Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That
with,
doesn't make the
number 8.
system fast just because you have Sonic and Tails in your build.
Well, it doesn't.
And a race car.
It doesn't hurt, Kyle.
It actually might. It actually might impede airflow.
What about these purple LEDs?
And reduce the overall headroom you have.
The purple LEDs probably make things faster.
That does.
That kind of does.
It's like plus 100 megahertz on the core.
All right. So
but I was going to say his rear fan's intake.
Yes,
That's
we have
the
a
first
very
thing that
positive pressure
stands out
case here.
to me.
Front fan's intake, rear fan intake, top fan exhaust. Not a lot of exhaust going on here.
It's very positive.
Not always a horrible thing, but just because you seem to have a fairly balanced airflow otherwise, I would probably flip this rear fan just to make it an exhaust. But you know,
Less dust as well.
Every system is a little different. The location that you have the system might be a little different too. You could try both scenarios and see which one gives you better temperatures on your CPU. That would be the real way to actually determine that.
And dust buildup if you don't have a dust filter on that fan.
Yes.
Because your front fans probably do, but that one doesn't.
That's true. That's also true. Aesthetically, I think you've done a great job with the cable management here. I like
Pretty clean.
I like the lit up look as well. Even though it's purple, I think it actually kind of lights up the red and the black not too badly at all.
True.
I don't know. Maybe you got blue going on with the memory. Maybe that looks better in IRL or something.
Perhaps.
Clean looking build though, Kyle. Do you have any critiques here?
Apart from just maybe matching that top fan with your rear fan just to be more uniform, that could really enhance things, believe it or not. Having like similar fans, matching fans across.
Bearded Gentleman in chat, who does seem to be the same Bearded Gentleman, says he didn't realize that the rear fan was facing the wrong way.
Oh, good. Well, then it's good that we're doing this segment.
Yeah, this is a great way to reality check a build and sort of get some other eyes on it.
Yeah.
Bearded Gentleman, if it helps you or makes you feel any better at all about flipping that rear fan, I had a system with an orb style cooler, like a CPU cooler sticking off of it, which I had facing the wrong way for like years, and I didn't realize until I went back and looked at it. I was like, oh, that's completely going the opposite direction. That probably hasn't been helping the cooling efficiency of my case at all. But yeah, I really like your build. I like the extra accents with the characters down there. Makes it personal. You know, maybe consider a custom CPU cooler in the future. That might help things out.
Yeah, small tower in there.
But you know, I would say maybe pair that up with a CPU upgrade. The 2400G I feel like is a great CPU as sort of a transition CPU because you've got the APU integrated. But I mean, you've got 6-core 12-thread and 8-core 16-thread options here. Potentially later this year, even like 16-core 32-thread options. We don't want to look too far ahead, but
Sure.
You know, that might be a good point to consider an upgrade of the CPU fan as well. But very, very nice build.
Thanks, man. Jose Valle.
Jose.
He's got a Fractal Design Define Nano S with an Intel Core i7 6700K, 16 gigs of Ripjaws 5, a GTX 1070 Ti Founders Edition,
Ew.
and it looks like we also have a Roswell Hive 750S. Okay, interesting. I see some color clashing here. It's hard to match anything with that green branding on the GeForce card, apart from green. And you've got those blue and white and black cables already that just, oh man, it's like, what do you go with here? This is an RGB build without having hardly any RGB lighting. You've got green on the graphics card, blue on the cables, and red on your RAM and the power supply. I would say stick to one.
This is
if you can.
This is a cable extension kit, so
yeah,
you know, it's flexible. Here's, all right. With the Define Nano S, I've seen quite a few people use a SFX power supply in there rather than a full-size ATX like the Roswell unit that you have. Wait, you have a Roswell, which one is it? The Hive 750.
Hive, yeah.
Which honestly is a perfectly fine power supply, so you can ignore all this. But I've seen SFX power supplies go in this case that provide a lot more sort of breathing room for the GPU. And since the Roswell Hive does have these sort of grosser looking red plugs on the non-sleeved cable extension side, you know, it might give you a little bit more flexibility to get rid of that. But like I said, you have a perfectly fine power supply. There's nothing wrong with the Roswell Hive. It's just a matter of aesthetics. That and then your G-Skill memory is what's standing out. If that was blue and kind of matched with your cable extension kit, I feel like you'd be doing pretty well as far as color coordination goes, and then you'd just be worried about your graphics card logo, like Kyle mentioned, and that could be solved either by swapping out that graphics card for an aftermarket one, or maybe more practically modifying it, because you can go in and modify the GeForce GTX logo and like white it out.
Right.
That's a possibility. You'll probably void your warranty, so bear that in mind. But you sent in these pictures looking for aesthetic suggestions, so that's what we're giving you.
Yeah.
They're not practical. They are
purely cosmetic
how to
and
make
vain.
it pretty.
Yes.
Other than that, you got a nice clean looking build. I'm sure
Very nice build.
This looks like a really solid performer and everything.
Indeed. Thanks, Juan.
Yeah, like I would say if you're just gonna do a single thing, take your memory out, heat gun off the heat spreaders on them, and spray paint them a color that matches the blue on your cable extensions.
That'd be nice.
I think that would be a simple, quick solution that would make everything look a little bit better. And if you could get rid of that plug on the power supply side of your power supply too,
Extra bonus.
That would make everything, at least you'd only have the single clashing color from the GTX logo rather than the red.
Which is fairly easy to modify as well.
Yeah.
So.
And it would match nicely with your white lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Fans. Thanks, Jose.
Tropton 13.
Tropton 13 with a Corsair Crystal 2080X, a Ryzen 5 2600 with an ASRock B450M Pro 4 motherboard, Corsair H100i, 16 gigs of Corsair Vengeance LPX 3000 megahertz RAM, and we have what looks to be a Sapphire Nitro Plus RX 580 8 gigabyte, and yeah, okay, so interesting. It's a very looks a little cramped in here, but not too bad. Is this a full ATX board? Looks like it. Maybe.
B450M Pro 4.
Oh, it might be a micro ATX then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very clean system overall. The power supply cables aren't doing it for me though, because they've got those red connectors at the end of the PCI Express plugs, and they're just black flat cables instead of nice seamless sleeved cables. So maybe you want to get some of those in there.
You could get some zip ties to sort of tie up the 24-pin cables, because it looks like you have a couple ribbon cables going up to that.
True.
That would clean that up a little bit.
You also have a wire going over your RAM, which you never want to have anything going over your RAM.
Right up here.
Your RAM's pretty. Keep the wires around the RAM, in between the RAM, but never over the RAM. Don't go over those modules.
That's true. You have sort of long tubes for your all-in-one liquid cooler. I don't know what to tell you about that though, because I don't know.
Not much you can do.
If you could somehow make it a more gradual swoop, because right now it kind of goes down, hits the graphics card, and then goes up and to the right. If you could even that out somehow to where it doesn't quite like strike the graphics card, then maybe that would clean things up.
You could point the tubes upwards, like from the AIO blocks.
Yeah.
Instead of them pointing down, you can point them up, and then maybe cinch them or zip tie them to the top of the case, maybe through the radiator or something like that.
I've had tubes that, like, if you angle them up and they go kind of up by the radiator, and then I've kind of fished a
zip tie down.
zip tie down
Yes.
through there
I've
to
done the
sort of
same.
tie them up and just sort of keep them up and out of the way. So that
Can work.
That might help you
That
out.
can work and look a little nicer.
And then, like I think Kyle already said, your PCI Express graphics power cables here are very red, and they stand out.
Yeah.
And they're a daisy chain, so various solutions for that. You could get the kit that lets you pull the caps off and replace them with black caps, or you could just get a couple extensions, depending on how ambitious you are.
Right.
I think that would clean things up. I actually like the look of your AverMedia. This is a capture card, I believe.
Looks
on
like
top
it.
on top of the graphics card, it looks
Right.
looks like you got a decent amount of power stacked up there. Sapphire GPU, which is what kind of GPU is it again?
RX 580.
RX 580. That's looking real nice in there. So yeah.
Yeah.
Just a few minor things here.
It's pretty.
And I think you could clean things up. While you're at it, if you do pop these cards out or anything, I would recommend maybe pulling the label off of your AverMedia card right here.
Yeah.
And then the Elna audio and sticker here on your IO from your motherboard. I think that would also make things look real clean if you're gonna go for the like super finished look. But there you go. Thank you very much, Tropton13.
Sweet. Next up, we have Quarter Hill. He's our last entry with an AMD FX 8150, 16 gigs of DDR3 at 800 megahertz with an MSI 990 FXA GD80, 2 gigs frame buffer with an EVGA 960, GTX 960, and some storage there. I think it's time for a platform upgrade, to be honest. I wouldn't say upgrade anything else before upgrading your CPU and motherboard overall to Ryzen.
Memory.
Go Ryzen. Go Ryzen. It's fairly affordable compared to the Intel equivalents right now. And I think a GTX 960, depending on how you're trying to game, if you're trying to elevate your gaming level, updating your CPU will probably help you quite a bit in some games, but it won't really give you like that wow effect, that amazing A/B difference before upgrading your graphics card.
We also have a common faux pas when it comes to cable management, especially if you've never done much cable management or first time or whatever.
Going over the graphics
supplemental
card.
CPU power just looped out here in the open on top of the graphics card, going up there. This is required for the performance of your CPU, but most modern cases have the ability to route that behind a motherboard tray, or even just around the motherboard in general. You may or may not have that capability with this case, but just something that stands out to me. And then, of course, you got some ketchup and mustard cables. You've got some bright red SATA cables here, which aren't terrible, but they're not tied up and tidied very well.
Right.
So you could tidy this system up a little bit with just a bit of cable management, but like Kyle said, you're really looking at probably a system upgrade at some point. So maybe see what parts you can keep around and which parts you can let go of. And then if you do repurpose this power supply, I would definitely recommend cable extensions or and getting rid of this label on the side.
Yeah.
It's large and ugly.
Also, Cooler Master now has their Hyper 212 RGB Dark Edition, or Black Edition, which looks very nice.
It looks better than this one.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Modernized and stuff. But
right.
yeah, I agree with everything Paul said. So thank you very much for that entry.
Thank you,
Mr.
Quarter
Sir.
Hill.
And that is going to conclude it for Pit My PC. We have a couple of Johnsons to deliver,
Johnsons.
as always. Let's see here.
I have 6 Johnsons.
Karsten Ott from Portage in Indianapolis. CPU cooler, gaming desk mat. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Johnson to you.
Johnson for Nicholas R. from Arizona. Got the RoboLove gaming mouse pad, the desk mat set.
RoboLove, that's a good one.
Oh yeah, the RoboLove.
CPU cooler and Flash BIOS full color 15-ounce black ceramic mug set goes to Carlos. Carlos M. from Jackson Heights, New York.
Johnson, Carlos. Also a Johnson for John V. from Michigan. He got the white logo Tri-Blend t-shirt.
Michigan.
Paul's Hardware. It's a good one.
Very good one. I got one more from Jarrett. Jarrett M. from West Henrietta, New York. Flash BIOS maroon t-shirt and a Bitwit white logo black t-shirt. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. You've been Johnsoned.
Wait.
Appropriately.
Randall S. from South Carolina.
Randall.
Got the lightweight hoodie.
Randall.
Limited edition lightweight hoodie, I should mention.
Ooh.
Limited. You'll be one of the very few people with that lightweight hoodie.
Scandalous.
Thank you, Randall, and then Johnson to you. Carlos M. from New York. Johnson to you got the beer set.
Ooh.
Glass and the opener. That's a good deal.
Lovely.
Brandon S. A Johnson for you, sir. The Oxblood thumbscrew shirt, always popular. It's got the blood of the ox in there.
Oh, yeah.
And the thumbscrew decal. Thank you very much, Brandon, for that.
Decal.
And a Johnson for you. Two more. Will G. from Texas. Got the thumbscrew keycap and he got 3 thumbscrew keycaps.
Nice.
I don't know why they were separately. But yes, the 2 keycaps and the 1 keycap. You're gonna have lots of thumbscrew keycaps.
Nice.
And finally, Kenneth M. from Oregon got the black logo, dark gray zipper hooded sweatshirt, like the one I'm wearing. I just touched my mic. Sorry about that. This is a very good sweatshirt, as well as a thumbscrew, gaming mousepad, and desk set. Thank you, Johnson.
Excelente.
All right, we are doing a raid.
That's it. We're raiding
Twitch raid.
Sangre Vampira. SANGRE VAMPIRA.
That means blood of the vampire.
Something like that. Sure.
It's pretty accurate.
We're gonna raid the shit out of her.
Sangre Vampira. Everyone go raid. And,
Raid.
Remember, vampires can't enter your house unless you invite them.
I don't have permission. Oh, Twitch, Cell did it.
Cell's already raiding them. All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you guys so much for watching SM Hardware this week.
Thanks, guys.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sal.
And we'll see you next week. Have a great rest of your week. Okay, bye.
Bye.